Did my transition through military airspace really just cost the Air Force $5? It happens more often than you think.
Disclaimer: the information contained in this video is for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended for training purposes or estimating cost of aviation procedures. Also, you should always wash your hands after you pee. Wiping them on your jeans doesn't count. Now, let's have some fun.
What's going on, fellow aviators and aviation enthusiasts, and welcome back to Triple Tree Aviation.
Okay, now let me try to set the stage here for what I'm trying to figure out. First and foremost, I want to disclose that to the best of my knowledge, nothing I did was illegal and all appropriate procedures were followed during my transition into military airspace. I just never really considered the cost of such a simple and common request. If you're already subscribed to my channel and watched some of my previous videos, you know that I have some pretty ambitious goals planned for 2024. If you're new to the channel, I hope you find the content entertaining, educational, and useful enough for you to consider subscribing. Okay, here we go. Now stick with me for a minute here so I can set this up properly. For the sake of context, let's go over intent. What I wanted to accomplish in this flight was to intentionally get familiar with communication and transitioning through McDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida, in order to land at an airport on the other side. Here's the flight plan. As always, my flight would begin by departing my home base located at Pilot Country Airport. The first leg of this flight would take me through a very complex bit of airspace where Gulf, Delta, and Bravo airspaces collide from the ground up. As I squeezed through a narrow spacing between St. Pete Clearwater Airport's Delta and Tampa International Airport's Bravo, I made my way to Sierra Papa Gulf, which is Albert Whitted Airport, for my first touch and go. Here I am making my initial call to Whitted Tower with my request for a touch and go and a handoff to MacDill Tower.
Whitted Tower, Cessna 60333 is with you at 1,100 feet, about 3 miles to the west. We'd like to join you for a touch and go and then a handoff to MacDill.
60333 Whitted Tower, enter a midfield left downwind for runway 7, plan to extend downwind.
Midfield for runway 7, extend downwind for 333.
Due to some traffic in the pattern, my instructions were to enter a midfield downwind for runway 7 and to extend the downwind, which means he'll be calling my base.
Whitted Tower, Warrior 8480 Foxtrot, coming for full stop and taxi back to school ramp.
8480 Foxtrot, runway 7, clear to land.
Runway 7, clear to land, 80 Foxtrot.
333, start your base now for runway 7.
Starting base now for runway 7, 333.
5 Delta Whiskey, extend downwind, I'll call your base. 5 Delta Whiskey. 333, runway 7, cleared touch and go, on the go, flash southeasterly heading, remain clear of McDill's airspace.
Clear touch and go, easterly heading, clear MacDill, 333.
5 Delta Whiskey, you're going to follow traffic off to your right-hand side, give them a little bit of room. That's slow Cessna, runway 7 then, cleared touch and go, make right traffic on the go. 5 Delta Whiskey, cleared touch and go, traffic in sight.
Now, I'm glad I'm not self-conscious about my little Cessna 150 because if I got $1 for every time I was referred to as slow by ATC, I'd probably have a faster airplane by now.
Whitted Tower, 8071, 7 miles to the north, inbound, full stop.
80781, Whitted Tower, midfield left downwind for runway 7, wind 1203, altimeter 292.
Midfield left downwind, 8071.
His next instructions will be coming up just after the touch and go where communication with MacDill Tower begins. Now, even though MacDill's runway was right in line with my departure runway at Whitted Airport, my instructions were to fly southeast, the opposite way, and to stay clear of MacDill's airspace. This was to ensure that I made contact with MacDill and followed appropriate procedures, making contact with the Class Delta before entering.
333, southeastbound squawk 1200.
Southeastbound, squawk 1200 for 333.
333, and just remain clear of McDill's airspace on the 1200 VFR code. Frequency change is approved. Tampa approach available 119.65. I'm showing a 0125 squawk currently on your transponder. There we go.
Thanks for your help, 333.
Have a great flight, Jim.
And here's my initial call with MacDill.
McDill Tower, Cessna 60333 is 2 miles north of Whitted Airport. Would like to transition through your Delta via low approach for Peter Knight.
Cessna 6033 McDill Tower, ident.
Just like any other Class Delta approach, I let them know who I was, where I was, and what I wanted to do with my first call. After my squawk ident, I was given clearance.
Number 033, ident observed. Traffic heavy KC 135, currently upwind. Report short final.
We'll report short final for 333.
This is when I realized there was a KC-135 that had just departed the airport. Thankfully, being turned around kept me far enough away to prevent being affected by its massive wake turbulence. What I didn't realize is that this KC-135 was staying in the pattern.
Tower, flash 5-1, on the go, request close.
Flash 5-1 heavy, roger, right, close traffic approved. Number 2 following a Cessna 172, 6 mile final.
Flash 5-1, copies, right, close traffic approved.
And correction for McDill, it's a Cessna 150, I'm a bit slower for 333.
Number 60333, roger, thank you.
Now, for those of you who don't know, a KC-135 is a huge Boeing tanker that's used by the Air Force for refueling jets in mid-air. This tanker travels at a much higher speed than my Cessna 150. In fact, their approach speed is 140 knots. On its best day, my little Cessna 150 cruises at about 100 miles per hour.
November 323, maintain below 1,100.
Descending now to 1,100, thanks. 333.
Flash 5-1 heavy, make left 360 for spacing.
Left 360 for spacing, flash 5-1.
So because of my presence, the tanker was instructed by ATC to do a 360 turn for spacing. Twice. Because of me.
Number 333, runway 5, wind 320 at 5, cleared low approach.
Clear low approach for 333. So now we're going to do a low approach at McDill Air Force Base here. Then we'll go over to Peter Knight. But at least, you know, we contacted an Air Force Base and got permission to do a low approach in their Delta, so that's cool. That's the first time for me. 333, a short final at 500 for low approach.
Number 333, roger. Flash 5-1 heavy, making another left 360, sir.
Flash 5-1, confirm left 360.
Now here's the breakdown. A KC-135 burns about 12,000 pounds of Jet A fuel per hour. That's a whopping 200 pounds per minute. Now, the average time to perform a standard rate 360 turn is about 2 minutes. Doing this twice would have burned 800 pounds of Jet A fuel. With an average price of about $7 per gallon or more for Jet A, that brings the total cost of fuel for the two 360 turns caused by my transition through the airspace to I'm going to let you guys run the numbers, because the last thing I want is to get a bill from the Air Force for numbers that may or may not be accurate. Again, I was given clearance and granted permission to proceed with the low approach, but after realizing the cost, I can't help but to feel just a little bit guilty and even irresponsible for my request. I mean, it's a great experience. It's something I definitely think helps with navigating through complex airspaces, but I could have just as easily circled around their southern border and made my way to the other airport by going around their Delta airspace. I want to know what you guys think. I know for a fact that this happens a lot more often than we realize. Whenever we fly into a Delta that has commercial flights holding short while we land with our general aviation airplanes, that jet fuel is just burning away. I guess it's just part of the cost of commercial aviation. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Have you flown through military airspace? Have you ever had a fleet of commercial airplanes waiting to take off as you land? If so, do you just shrug it off or do you feel guilty? Let me know in the comments below. Let's start a conversation. Again, subscribe to the channel and like the video if you found the information useful. And as always, thanks for watching. Fly safe, fly often, and I'll see you guys in the skies.